Welcome back to Pioneer viewers. I hope your day is going well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share with you the latest developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Discipline is the solid foundation of an army, right? However, any disturbances in this foundation can seriously weaken an army's ability to survive. If one group is disciplined and the other one is undisciplined, the undisciplined group can negatively affect the disciplined one, and the Russian armed forces are facing such a situation. The Russian army is now known to have some chronic problems in particular. Problems such as alcoholism are increasing, and as the war intensifies and the Russian army suffers heavy losses, the problems of alcohol consumption and drunkenness of the soldiers increases. So in recent days, there have been reports that drunken Russian soldiers were involved in horrific incidents and were later lynched by another group of alleged Russians. Drunken Russian soldiers have caused an incredible incident in recent days. Let's review this. What happened after this incident? And let's take a look together. But before moving on to our report, I would like to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to convey to you the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notification so as not to miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. So the war between Russia and Ukraine is still ongoing, and the situation of the Russian soldiers has reached an alarming level. Factors such as increasing casualties, uncertain and ineffective decisions of the war leadership, the consequences of disobeying these decisions, insufficient ammunition and supplies have greatly weakened the morale and resistance of the Russian soldiers. The attitude of the Russian war leadership, which is far from the realities on the ground and ignores the needs of the soldiers, leads to the deepening of the problems in the Russian army. In fact, the attitude of the Russian war leadership can be characterized as a kind of indiscipline because this leadership does not fulfill its basic responsibilities such as meeting the needs of the soldiers and assessing the demands in the field. This leads to demoralization and indiscipline among the soldiers. It is well-known fact that if the head of a society does wrong things, the society will also start doing wrong things. Similarly, the undisciplined and ineffective attitude of the Russian world leadership leads to similar behavior among the soldiers. There is a well-known saying in some of the areas is still under the Russian control. If the head of a society does wrong, the society starts doing wrong, right? So the Russian war leadership seems to confirm this saying. Researches into the causes of the increasing Russian casualties is unnecessary, if not overly in-depth, because the fundamental problem is clear. The undisciplined and ineffective management of the Russian war leadership and army is causing the Russian armed forces to suffer heavy losses. So the indiscipline of the Russian soldiers has reached an extremely worrying level. As I've repeatedly emphasized in our previous reports, the most common solution used by the Russian soldiers trying to cope with the devastation caused by the front line is alcohol consumption. And soldiers who drink large amounts of alcohol try to forget the traumas that they have experienced with the intoxicating effect of the alcohol. However, this is a temporary solution and exacerbates the problems in the long run. As alcohol resistance develops, the tendency to consume more alcohol emerges. So in recent days, in the occupied Crimean Peninsula close to Kherson, 2 Russian soldiers drank almost to the point of the alcohol coma. Although these drunk soldiers had already started to damage the environment, they had not yet recovered from their trauma and needed more alcohol. They left the army and started looking for alcohol in the city. According to the regional sources, the sale of the alcoholic beverages to soldiers was prohibited in this area. Ignoring this claim, the Russian soldiers entered several markets, and however, the markets refused to sell alcoholic beverages to the soldiers. And the soldiers then decided to take off their uniforms and try again. However, all the markets in the vicinity recognized the identities of the Russian soldiers and refused to sell alcohol. In the face of this refusal, the Russian soldiers became restless, and soon events got out of the control. 36-year-old Alexander Kaipirotsisk and 34-year-old Alexander Osipov attacked the markets. According to the allegations, the owners of these markets had been settled here in order to ensure the assimilation of the region by the Russian administration. For this reason, the owners of the markets did not want to harm the Russian soldiers at first. However, the Russian soldiers were looting the market, and the owners of the markets, who had lost their patience, finally resisted the soldiers. According to reports, 2 people lost their lives during the attack of the Russian soldiers on the market. They were Lubov Timachak, the Russian appointed head of the occupied village of Abrikosovka, and her husband, who were killed by the Russian soldiers. After this incident, the local population completely lost control and was full of anger towards the Russian soldiers. According to the local sources, Russian soldiers were severely beaten and seriously injured. However, the anger of the local population still had not subsided, and this situation forced the occupation administration to immediately send law enforcement officers to the area. The law enforcement officers took the 2 seriously wounded soldiers under protection. The soldiers were transferred to the hospital where they were detained. So according to the local sources, Russian soldiers are demanded to be severely punished. Many citizens have complained about the Russian soldiers, and this situation can become quite serious. Russian soldiers were previously known to cause problems by getting drunk, but the latest incident has exacerbated this situation. Indiscipline has now reached an alarming level, and the Russian military leadership is incapable of solving these problems. It seems likely that in the near future there will be new developments on this issue. It is noteworthy that the Russian combat leadership has not yet made any statements. However, this is not surprising because they have been silent on the similar occasions in the past as well. And the fact that they have not even made any statements in defense of the Russian soldiers shows how reluctant they are to do so. The attitude and approaches of the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, seems to be increasing the indiscipline of the Russian soldiers. Under these circumstances, it may be difficult for the Russian armed forces to advance in Ukraine. So the problems caused by the Russian troops are increasing day by day. Under these circumstances, Russian leader Vladimir Putin declared a new mobilization because even if Russian soldiers are not destroyed during the war, many of them may no longer be able to fight because of the alcohol problems. So what do you think? Do you think that problems with drunken Russian soldiers are likely to increase? How will such problems affect the Russian armed forces? How would the effectiveness and reliability of the Russian army be affected if disciplinary violations such as drunkenness become widespread among the Russian soldiers? What do you think about the violent behavior of resettled Russian citizens towards the Russian soldiers? How do such incidents affect the military discipline and social peace? Specify it in the comments, because you know that I read and I care a lot about all of your comments.